So this presentation has been prepared for the Specialist Societies meeting on the 28th of April 2017. Obviously, anything after this is out of date. I have some disclosures. As everyone knows, I'm an officer of RCOGs, I'm president of RCOGs, I'm treasurer of BSGE, soon to stand down, and I'm treasurer of BGCS. And I love societal work, and it's really important that we do this in an appropriate and legal manner. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about society status. I'm going to talk about the duties of a trustee and an officer. I'm going to talk about financial governance. I'm going to talk about risk assessment. I'm going to talk about conflicts of interest. I'm going to talk about data protection at the very end. So if we're going to talk about societal status, you can either be a community or a club, which basically means that you've got a joint account. You can either be a business, which means you're trading, in which you have to pay tax, or you can be a charity. And we'll talk a bit about that later on, but the long and short of it is that if you are trading, in other words, if you're taking money off anyone for the purpose of, for example, taking money off a company for sponsorship, then you are likely to be a business unless you're a charity. So many people become a charity, and then you may be a trustee of that charity, but you may be an officer of a society, and really your duties are the same. You are a custodian of that charity or society. You ensure that charity is carrying out the purpose for which it was set, and you're following charity's governing documents. And we'll talk a bit about the governing documents a bit later on. You have to comply with the law of a country, and that includes charity law. And really, as a result of this, if you're bringing people into the society, either as a trustee or as on council, you really need to provide them with an induction, because a lot of people consider being on council of a society, just a way to promotion, to get a clinical excellence award or something like that. And really, they have work to do, and they are liable if they don't do that work. So I'm going to talk a bit about financial governance. Each charity has to submit to the Charity Commission an annual report if their income is over $25,000, and that really means reporting the activity that you've done over the year. And in addition to that, if your annual accounts consist of an income of over £10,000 a year, then you have to submit those accounts to the Charity Commission. Your accounts need to be independently examined, and by that I mean a non-audited accounts from an accountant. Unless, of course, you're earning more than £1 million a year, at which point they have to be properly audited. And if you have assets of over 3.26 million and your income is over 250,000, you also have to have proper audited accounts. Most people don't fall in this category, but your accountant should be able to tell you what you need to do. You must have a reserves policy written down, and it's very important that you have a financial accommodation policy, really, because if you are a treasurer of any society, you've got to bat all these requests for travel and accommodation, and if you have a strict policy, you can say yes or no according to that policy. It saves falling out with your friends. So financial governance is very important. If you go onto the Charities Commission website, you can immediately see that everything is open. And as of this year, all expenses from trustees of a charity will have to be declared on this as well. And there is a new document out in March of this year. And really, if you are a charity and you're a trustee of that charity, you should read that new governance document, because you may be in breach of the law if you don't. Anyone can search for a charity. Here is the British Society of Gynae-Endoscopies front page, and you can see that it tells the charitable aims, where it operates, and also our accounts. And you'll be pleased to hear that our compliance history is all completely straightforward and above board over the years that I've been treasurer of this society. I'm now Treasurer of British Gynecological Cancer Society, and you'll be pleased to hear that both in my tenure we've already submitted our accounts for this year, or last year I should say, and prior to that we've always been completely above board. You will note that not all gynecological charities have been compliant, and here is, this is all in the public domain. I'm not showing you something that is that is not open and available to everyone. You'll see that this society only submitted their accounts 147 days late in 2013, and there's some other charities that have got a lot more red next to them, and these are all gynecological charities, which are societies associated with the RCOG, and I think you do need to be extremely careful about how we assess that. You need to have a risk assessment. You have to demonstrate that you're doing an annual risk assessment. In the BSGE, because that's an example, we've done it by impact score and probability score. So here's an impact score for any particular item that you want to analyse, ranging from insignificant to minor to moderate to major to extreme. So, for example, a major thing would be if the service was disrupted, people won't be able to get through to our secretariat. An extreme thing might be that we might have litigation. You then assess that against a probability score, whether it's unlikely, possible, probable, or highly probable, and you times those two figures together for any outcome that you need to analyse. So here is reliance on big income streams. Now, our main income in the society is our annual scientific meeting, and we therefore scored this 12, which is high. We have a diverse income through membership as well, but also through sponsorship of meetings. We felt at our last time we looked at risk analysis that we should explore other avenues, and that was reportable back to the officers' meeting, and in fact we've organised another couple of meetings as a result of this. You have to have a conflict of interests document. You should have a policy about this, and it should be written and accessible. And you should have a disclosure of interest form that every trustee or officer fills in every year, but also at all relevant points in your society. So we have a document from this on the BSGE. We'd be able to share that to you. We've used it again for the BGCS to create our policy document for that. And I think we all want to share it. So finally, data protection. Charities must have a data protection policy. Whether you're registered with the Data Protection Act or not, you need a data protection policy. Again, we have one at the BSGE. I think the RCOG have one. NICE have one, which we modified our BSGE document from. We're creating one for the BGCS. You must have this policy. You need to register with the Data Protection Act or the Information Commissioners under certain circumstances. Now, if you want to know whether you need to register or not, you can go on this self-assessment tool on the website. But the long and short of it is, if you're only processing information necessary to establish or maintain membership, or only processing information necessary to administer your activity, you as a charity don't need to register. However, most people are collecting more information on that. If you collect details of past members, then you need to register. If you're collecting financial information, you need to register. So here is a group of people on an away day trying to administer a society. And I think the one thing you need to know at the end of the day, that this is only worthwhile if it's fun. So please, everyone, do follow the guidelines. They're quite easy to follow once you've got your head around it. But don't join a society because you want to get some clinical excellence award. Join it because you enjoy working with the people you're working with and because you want to achieve something. So that's the end.